You know that feeling, right? You're in an argument, and it just feels like a runaway train, gathering speed until it goes completely off the rails. Yeah, we've all been there. But here's a thought. What if conflict itself isn't the problem? What if it's just how we're doing it? Okay, let's really dive into this, because I promise, understanding this one difference can literally change everything.
And this quote right here, this really gets to the heart of the matter. This idea that a perfect relationship is conflict-free, it's a total myth. Healthy, truly successful relationships aren't about dodging every disagreement. Not at all. They're about learning how to get through them without causing all that lasting damage. It's a big reframe. Conflict doesn't mean you're failing.
So, if we want to figure out how to fight better, we first have to get super clear on what makes a fight go so wrong in the first place. Let's break down the anatomy of that destructive, all too familiar downward spiral.
Now this is so important because this slide shows the exact fork in the road in any argument. Over on the left, you've got the blame game. You always do this. You never listen. It's an attack, right? And it immediately puts the other person on the defensive. But just look at the right side, the vulnerable truth. I feel hurt. I feel ignored. See the difference? That's not an accusation. It's you explaining what's happening on the inside. One starts a war, and the other, well, it invites a conversation.
And this is exactly where that blame game leads. I mean, these are the classic signs of a fight that's going absolutely nowhere good. The arguments just escalate, hurtful things get said that you can't take back, maybe someone pulls out the silent treatment, and pretty soon you're both just hiding behind these huge walls of defensiveness. None of this actually solves anything, it just makes the wound that much deeper.
Okay, but here's the hopeful part. This is the good news. You are not doomed to repeat that cycle over and over again. There is a way to pull the emergency brake on that runaway train, and it all comes down to a single, really powerful concept that emotionally intelligent couples have absolutely mastered.
And this is it, the repair attempt. The Gottman Institute, who are legends in relationship research, define it just like this. It's any move, it can be big or small, you can say it or just do it, that you make to stop things from just spinning out of control. Think of it like a de-escalation button. It is probably the most crucial skill in managing conflict, period.
So what does this actually sound like in the real world, in the heat of the moment? Well, it can be as simple and direct as saying, hey, can we please restart? Or it can be about just naming what's going on inside you, like, I'm getting really flooded right now, which is basically code for, I need a break. Sometimes just saying, let's take a pause, or even cracking a little inside joke to break the tension can completely reset the entire tone of the conversation.
Okay, so making a successful repair attempt, it requires a tool, right? You can't really communicate what's wrong if you don't even know what you're feeling yourself. And that brings us to the first essential skill for your emotional toolkit.
The principle is so beautifully simple. If you can name it, you can manage it. The moment you can put a specific label on an emotion, it stops being this big, scary, overwhelming cloud. It becomes a specific, manageable problem that you can actually talk about and, solve.
So let's make this really personal for a second. The next time you feel that surge of anger, just pause and ask yourself what this slide is getting at. Are you just mad, or is there something more specific, something deeper hiding under that word? Are you actually feeling misunderstood, maybe disrespected, or maybe even just lonely? Identifying the real feeling is the absolute key, because saying I'm mad, that's a brick wall, but saying I feel disrespected, that's a doorway to a real conversation.
All right, let's move on to our next tool and see how this all builds on each other. So once you know what you're feeling, you still have to bring it up. And how you start that conversation can literally determine its entire outcome. This is where something called the soft startup comes into play.
And this just brilliantly lays out the formula. It's a really simple three-part structure. Step 1. You start with I feel, taking total ownership of your emotion. Step 2, you talk about a specific, factual situation, not some big generalization. And step 3, you clearly and gently state what you need to feel better. It's a request, not a demand.
And the crucial point here is that this structure isn't just about picking the right words. It's a fundamental shift in your entire approach. It moves you from pointing a finger to opening your hands. You're taking accountability for your own feelings, which makes it almost impossible for your partner to get defensive. You're not attacking them, you're explaining you.
So look, if there is one single thing you take away from this whole explainer, please let it be this sentence. I feel blank, about blank, and I need blank. Seriously, memorize it, practice it. This is your script for turning a potential explosion into a real moment of connection. It is the foundation of fighting well.
And that brings us to our final thought.
We've talked a lot about starting conversations, but what about stopping them when they go wrong? And more specifically, when you know you're the one in the wrong. What's your go-to phrase to own it and repair the moment? Just having one in your back pocket, well, it can make all the difference.